Our quest to find the best 450 on the market continues, and today it's a good old-fashioned Italian shootout. Like one of those old spaghetti westerns, we've got two Italian steeds fighting for glory today. We've got the Ducati Desmo 450 and, how will we saying it, Sean? The Beta.
No, the Beta.
The Beta RX 450. Me and Sean are going to ride them both. We'll give you our opinions, but the result will be decided with a fast lap at the end of the day. So let's hit the track, let's get riding. Let's find out which of these two machines wins today. Which bike do you think will be fastest? Let me know your predictions in the comments down below. So we've ridden our fair share of 450s on the channel recently. We've ridden pretty much most of the current generation bikes. The last shootout we did was with the Ducati against the Chinese Kove 450, which we said was the cheapest versus the most expensive. Now, it's not that dramatic of a difference today. This is still the most expensive 450, but we do think from the guys at MR, this is one of the best value 450s in the country right now. So that'll be interesting to compare the bikes. We've seen the shootouts, you can go and watch the shootouts, but we personally think that you can't properly test that many bikes in one go. No. So we've decided to try and take our time with it and test each bike thoroughly. So we've obviously had the Ducati, as you can see, it's got our numbers on it. We've had this for a while now. So we've both put plenty of time on the Duke. But Sean, you've had the Beta for a few weeks as well, so you've put some good time on that. Yeah. You've lived with it, so you'll be able to give us some good insights on what it's like to live with this thing. And then we'll obviously compare the two bikes as well. So that's our philosophy. We think that living with the bikes a bit longer and testing them at a slower pace, one at a time or two at a time, gives you guys better insights and gives us the chance to give you better feedback. So that's why we're doing it this way. So we hope you like it. We hope that we give you some valuable information. Yeah, so let's just get riding, shall we? Okay, so I've hit the track first on board the Ducati. We're at a very rough and rugged DMP today. This is true winter motocross right here in the UK. In our experiments with the Ducati and our quest to find the best 450 out there, the Ducati has performed very well. It won our previous shootout against the Chinese Kove and is, we think, probably the most powerful 450 out there on the market, because it won our dyno shootout against that Chinese bike as well. We shall see today whether the Ducati can keep up that winning performance, that winning pedigree, to take on the Beta. I've yet to ride the Beta, so I'll be interested to see what that feels like. Sean has spent more time on both of the machines than I have, so he will be doing the fast laps at the end of the test. So stay tuned for that. I think me and Sean are now going to swap bikes and see how we like the other one. It's got plenty of power. It's what you would expect from a 450. That's what I've noticed with this a lot. It does stall quite a bit
if you're not careful. If I'm honest, it's probably not for me because it's so tall. And even when you're on it, it's tall. One thing I will say about it, if you're a guy that likes to ride on the pegs, cruise about, or you're a standy up guy, honestly, this is so good. Up on the pegs, it feels mega stable.
Now that we've both warmed up, it's time to stop, swap bikes and feel out the differences.
So it's the first time in my life riding a beta. Let's see how it goes. Oh, feels a bit softer maybe. Back brakes in a weird position as well, but that might be Sean's setup, to be fair. Power feels a bit more docile, but it's very early days. Oh, that's a weird in the turns, very noticeable, as in wide. Notice those rad shrouds for sure. One of the most peculiar and interesting brands in motocross is Beta. Now, who are they, or where have they come from, what are their goals? It's all a bit of a mystery to me. I don't know much about them, so I'm interested to learn. I've planned this bike while we've got it, and you know, to see how it all compares to the machines that we know. Feels so weird now. Well, the first thing I've noticed with this against the Beta, surprisingly, the Beta just seems to turn better in the corners, which has super shocked me, because I never thought I'd be saying that. Feels a lot more difficult to turn in the corners. I keep missing the back brake. And I like to, you know, I do use the back brake a lot. I like to turn with it. Yeah, this one's way wide. When you go into the turns, you just feel it here, can't you? Yeah, but then I felt that handled good in the corners compared to this. I've been on this bike, set it up how I liked it, and you ride it, and it's great, do good lap times on it, then you spend some time on something else and set that up, and then you go back to the bike that you've set up, and it's like, this doesn't feel good. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that is more like finely tuned, right? This is, yeah. So you have to be like on it and at one with it, where this is a bit more comfortable, a bit more docile. Yeah. Easier just to jump on, maybe. Yeah.
So it's almost time for the hot laps, but first, Sean wants to show us around the Beta. So we're big fans of two-strokes here on the channel, which means that I talk about Putiline MX-9 two-stroke oil a lot, but as you can see, it's four-stroke day today. We're doing the Italian shootout, which gives me a chance to talk about or show you guys that Putiline do four-stroke oil as well. They've got you covered for all your lubricants, oils, cleaning products for your four-stroke bikes as well. Check out the Putiline website for more information to find out what product you need for your machine. I've left the link in the description down below, but as always, a huge thank you goes to Pewterlife.
So here we are with the all-new Beta RX 450. I've had it for a couple of weeks and not really been out much because the weather's been really bad, so rode it 3 times. The first time was just ran it in. The stock bars were so wide, like wider than anything that I've had before, so I cut them down basically. They said it was fine, trim off what you need, so I ended up taking 1 inch off, which is quite a bit, just to get them narrow to where I felt comfortable on the bike. Dropped the forks through because I felt they run much better like this, for me anyway. The bike is very, very tall. It's such a tall bike. Engine's tall in the frame. They've obviously reduced the size of the tank from the enduro models, but the weight distribution has stayed very much in the middle, so it just feels a little bit top heavy. I mean, there's some cool bits on it, all these anodized, bits and bobs, that all comes from the factory. But what I did notice is tightening, when I adjusted the chain, it was quite awkward to get the spanner in here because the cutout, the recess for that is quite tight, so it's quite awkward to lock that off. But that's no biggie. But if we come around this side, another cool thing they've got is a quick release seat. It's literally just a push button, and the seat pops off. It's so simple. Is that an advantage for in the motocross world? I can't get it back on now. Who knows? But there you go. Yeah, so that's easy access to the battery. And obviously easy access to the airbox. It's pretty much like the Austrian stuff where you just pop that off. Air filter sits in there. I've used it like 3 times, I think. Put some few hours on it. Not had nothing come loose, so that's really good. Everything's really solid. Engine oil, gearbox oil is separate, so again that's a good thing for longevity for the engine, I think. But you're using more oil, as in like the quantity. So all in all, it's about 1.4 litres you're putting in there. Most bikes now are around about 1 litre or just over. When riding it, I noticed it still gives the enduro vibe when you ride it. It's a bit hard to explain, but what I found is because of the way the frame sits at the bottom, the cradle of the frame is very short here, and I've obviously done this for ground clearance. But for me, what it feels like, what it's done is pushed the weight of everything up. So the engine sits high in the frame. The way the tank is, nothing's been brought down to compensate for that. It still sits heavy. So if you've got the fuel in the tank, the centre of the weight just feels very top heavy with it. With that weight where it is when I was standing up and cruising through the corners on the pegs, it felt super cool, good. You know what I mean? It was like really stable, and I could turn the bike and felt really, really good. When I was sitting down trying to get traction into the corner, because again I'm not that tall, it brought my weight now into the rest of the weight, and it just felt like I couldn't turn it as well as I wanted to. I was going to use the word aggressive, but I probably wouldn't use that word, but I just wanted it a bit more, as it goes in the corner, I just wanted to squat a bit more, just so I could get it round. But it just felt like, because I'm sitting on top, because it's very, very flat, I just couldn't do that. Hence why I've dropped the forks, and I've now backed the spring off just to try and get it to squat down a little bit, because you can drop these through, which is fine, but then the back sits high and the bike will be out of balance. So I've had to take everything down as much as I can just to try and get it sitting a little bit closer to the ground. But we'll see how it goes today. I mean, the track's rough, the suspension's good, so yeah, we'll see what happens.
So Sean's fueling himself up ready for the fast laps today, and we're going to record those times using the CrossBox lap timing device. I'm going to whack that on Sean's helmet, and he'll go out and do fast laps on the Beta and on the Ducati to find out which one he's fastest on. And the CrossBox lap timing device is the perfect tool for that job. We use it for our tests here. We can overlay those 2 lap times and have a look at that in the app to see where Sean's faster and slower on each of the bikes, which is really cool and useful for us when we're dissecting these lap times and doing these tests. But this is also a really cool device if you're a rider looking to improve yourself at your local track. You can use this to break down the data, have a look at different sectors, have a look at all sorts of data you can find using the CrossBox lap timing device and the app. We couldn't recommend it enough. We love it here at 999 Laser. Check out the link in the description down below for more details. Okay, so Sean's about to go out for the hot lap first on the Ducati. So I'm going to turn the CrossBox on. So that will be recording his lap times around Doncaster Motor Park here. This is where we do the hot lap show, so we've got the track already set up on the Crossbox app. We'll be able to compare this lap time as well to everyone else's, so no pressure, Sean. I don't think we'll be hitting any lap records today. So the first bike taking on the hot lap challenge will be the Ducati Desmo 450. The clock is on and it's time to let it rip. As we know, the track is rough and bumpy today, so it will be tough out there for Sean. Places, but the main racing line is dry and in good shape.
450s, man, you just feel like you're tickling the throttle.
So Sean's into one of the most important sections of the track. That's the rollers down to this flat right-hand turn here. He makes it through nice and clean on board the Ducati.
Tough going. Oh.
So we're over halfway through the lap now. How do you think he's looking on board the Desmo 450?
Sugar.
Looking pretty smooth to me. It's hard to push it out there today, especially on these big bikes. Over the middle tabletop into the big bowl berm here. And lets the 450 feed on the exit of the corner. Just a handful of turns left in the lap now. Over the Putnam lead. Not sending the full jump today, understandably. Over the tunnel jump, there's only 2 more corners left in the lap now. We've got a left and then a right. Into the final turn, using the inside line. On the gas, up and over the finish line.
Anybody can ride one of these when it's flat, track's groomed, perfect. Even me, I feel like a superstar on one. But when the track is rough, gnarly, it's had a whole day's practice on it, then we've come here to ride these bikes. Man, it's tough. Very tough. So hard.
Now it's time for the Beta RX 450 to take on the hot lap challenge. The clock is on. Let's find out what the RX is made of. The track is in exactly the same condition. Sean is the only rider out there at the moment, so conditions haven't changed whatsoever since the lap on the Ducati. And I'd say Sean's the perfect man for this job. He is a real motocross racer, a true weekend warrior. He is the demographic for these bikes. He is the type of person that will be spending money on these machines. So he's the perfect man to conduct this test for us here today. Into the rollers he goes.
Oh, shyster.
was a rough ride through the rollers. But he's back on track now. I'd say he's looking good on board the Beta. But what do you guys think? How is this comparing to the Ducati so far? We're past the halfway point now. Only 2 corners left after this. Nicely over the tunnel jump. On the gas to the penultimate corner. Back end stepping out ever so slightly, but that doesn't slow him down at all by the looks of things. Into the final turn then. This is it for the Beta. Which bike was fastest? Let's find out. How's that?
It's alright. The weirdest thing is though, on the Ducati I could go through the rollers like double, single, like, well, bash my way through them. But I couldn't do it on this.
Right, let's download the times then and we'll be interested to find out.
Yeah, definitely a match up.
Okay, so that was a real bike test, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a real world bike test in properly difficult conditions.
Yeah, it was a used track. It's had a whole day of practicing yesterday with a lot of riders here. There's a lot of lines out there, very choppy. I mean, it was ideal to test the bikes.
Yeah. Typically, you see bike tests, and we're guilty of this as well, on perfectly groomed, manicured tracks.
Yeah.
So it was a nice change and a good challenge for us and for the bikes.
I wouldn't say nice,
It
but
was
it was a change.
Before we crack on and review the bikes and get to the business of deciding a winner via the hot lap challenge or the time comparison.
Yeah, I wouldn't like
We're
to
not
call it a
saying
hot lap
fast
today.
laps today,
No,
are we?
no, there was no hot anywhere.
Before we dive into that review and those results, we just need to say a big thank you to MR Van and Motorcycles. That's the dealership that loaned us the Beta here today. And via those guys, this might be the best valued 450 in the country.
Yeah, yes.
They're doing some insane deals on this bike right now. So,
And it's a 2026 model.
yes, yeah.
So yeah, some cracking deals they're doing.
They're based up in North Yorkshire, so if you like the look of the bike, you like what you're about to hear maybe, definitely give these guys a shout because they've got some great deals on this machine, the Beta 450 RX. Also, big thanks to Ed Bradley at Doncaster Motor Park as well. It's been raining non-stop for about 2 months. It's been so difficult to get out on track. We've been wanting to do this video for ages, and we've finally had a little break in the weather, and Ed was kind enough to let us come up here and use the track here today. So big thank you to Ed and the DMP team. Let's get to the business then. Let's review the bike, Sean. You were the man today, really. You've done the time comparison laps.
Yeah.
You've had the Beta for a while now. This is your fourth ride on it.
Yeah, the first time we rode it was literally run it in. You know, Ben from MR Motorcycle and Van Sales, he brought it down. You know, he just showed me about it. Obviously, gave me a service pack for it, so I could change the oil and filter and everything like after it was running. So that was just a steady ride. And then I've been out twice after that to then start dialing the bike in and set it up to how I would felt comfortable on the bike. So the handlebars were so wide on it, and he did allow me to cut them down, which I did. But I took about an inch off it. It's quite a lot. But when they come out the showroom as a stock bike, they are very, very wide bars.
And why would that be?
So Ben said basically it's to get everything on because they're enduro bars. It's based off the enduro model, so there's a lot of components on there that you'll find on the enduro version. It's not an enduro bike, this is a full-blown motocross bike, different subframe, gearbox, engine and all the rest of it, but the base of the bike, you know what I mean,
it's got some of the same DNA.
Yeah, and like, you know, you'll get a bike and you'll change handlebars to what you like, so it's no big issue. The bike is very, very tall. It is a mega tall bike. Obviously I'm slightly vertical challenged. So if you're a 6 footer or 6 foot plus, this bike would be absolutely
fit you very
awesome.
well.
Yeah, it's so much room. It's, you know, the ergonomics of it, really roomy. Yeah, I think if you were a tall guy, you'd love it. You know, seriously love it. So I had that to deal with. As you can see, I pushed the forks quite a way through the yokes, but then I also adjusted the sag on the back just to get the bike so it's sat level, because once I drop the forks, obviously the back's high, and I just wanted it to be as level as I could, so it you know, it worked together, everything worked together, which I think I achieved. But it's still a tall bike. If I've got any criticism with it, it's the frame. You can feel it's got an enduro heritage. The way
that's
it
a
rides,
good way to put it, I think.
The way it rides, you can feel it's got an enduro heritage, and I think the frame is, you know, they've created it for a lot of ground clearance, and the way the cradle is at the bottom of the frame and the shape of it is obviously, you know, they've done it like that for the ground clearance. But the downside of that, to me, it feels like everything then sits high. The engine sits high, and there's a lot of weight that sits
you
high.
Sit high, don't you?
Yeah, and you sit high on the bike. You know, the tank, obviously that's not an enduro tank, it's a motocross tank, and it's very flat, everything's very flat, but they haven't took any of the weight down of the tank, they've just kept it high. So with the fueling, even that doesn't counteract what's going on with the engine. So when you're standing up on the pegs, it feels plush, it feels stable, it feels really good. You know, once you sit down, especially for me, I felt I didn't have enough leverage on the bike to try and turn it. You could turn it, and it turned well, but I had to make it turn rather than it just fall into the turn. And that's my only criticism with it. If I was 6'5", I'd probably be saying the bike's awesome. Engine wise, I think it's just a little bit slower than most 450s to pick up. It's certainly not slow, you know, it'll hold its own out there, but
it'll drag you out the deep stuff when you're in
trouble.
trouble.
For sure, yeah. But just off the bottom, I just don't think it has, it certainly hasn't enough pop as that, which, you know, ain't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
Especially when it's as rough as it is out there.
It's easy to ride. You know, you don't want snappy power off the bottom, you know, a lot of the time. All in all, I think it's a pretty good bike. I think it's good value for money.
Yeah, definitely. Especially at the deal that you can get these at the moment.
Deals that he's knocking out, I don't think you'll get a better value for money bike.
No, I think that's a certainty. Today we've had the chance to ride them back to back and swap. It always blows my mind how different bikes can be. The only thing these two things have got in common is that they are from
Italian.
Italy. Yeah, they're so wildly different when you get on them.
Yeah.
The seat is so flat, the tank is so flat.
Yeah.
It's a peculiar feeling when you first get on it. It's like nothing I've really ridden before. You can get so far forward in the turns, almost too far forward, and be sat.
You see, I'm not a rider that pushes myself right forward to the front of the bike. Yes, it is wider than, you know, the stuff out there. It feels very like, you know, 22 Yamish, do you know what I mean, where it's wide like that. I didn't really feel it to be that wide, but I know what you mean, like if you sit further and then obviously, you know, it's a lot wider. But you've seen the other videos, we've set this up, you know, I've set it up, you know, went to a different track, set it up, and the thing was awesome. And then you come to a track like this, and the contrast in like how the bike feels compared to how it was set up at a different track is like night and day. You know, you got on that and thought, crikey, this feels harsh.
This is an animal to try and tame. Yeah, I felt the suspension was better on this. I feel this encouraged you to stand up on the pegs a bit more. The Ducati today, the suspension did not feel good in those harsh, hard bumps.
Yeah.
The feedback just was a bit like harsh,
But what I did find with the Ducati, the harder you attacked them stuttery bumps and all the sharp edges, it did work better.
I've never ridden it. I've never ridden it before.
Yeah.
And in that little filming session we did at the end, I didn't really want to swap.
No.
I was quite happy on that.
Yeah. I wouldn't describe it as docile. I think it just doesn't pick up so quick off the bottom. You'll probably see in the laps that we've done, you know, there's some rollers out there, and I could quite easily come out the turn and pop. Yeah, I mean, they weren't clean. I bashed through them, but I could get through them. Whereas that, it wasn't. It just didn't have that initial pop to get you up over the top. That's the only place where I thought it was a disadvantage.
So I think it's safe to say we're both a bit surprised how well this has performed today, how much we enjoyed it. Let's quickly, before we get to the times, let's just pick winners in categories, right? So start easy. Looks. I'm going to pick Ducati for me.
I mean, it's a vibrant
This is
colour,
very bright. I feel like I need some shades on right now.
It's come a good second, isn't it?
It's come
a good second. So yeah, I'd pick the Duke.
Power. This is obviously way faster. Got more ponies. We haven't had this on the dyno, but we know that it's packing a punch.
See, when you say power, is that
Yeah,
rideable, usable power?
went through this last time.
Yeah.
It's on the dyno, this wins, I would say.
Yeah.
But on track, in conditions like that, is this friendlier?
I think it's friendlier, but I think my lap times will be faster.
Well, this will be decided
because
soon.
I think you get from point A to B quicker than what you'd do on that.
Suspension, I think we both agree.
Yeah.
Brakes.
Yeah, I mean, they're Nissan, calipers.
It's high quality stuff on this. It's not cheap.
It didn't disappoint. I actually found the back brake on that slightly better than this. I think on this, it felt like I had to use more force to make it work. Not the strength of it, not the strength of the brake, but more force in the pedal to actually make the brake work.
Yeah. Tech package. Obviously, this is all singing, all dancing. We love the tech on this.
Yeah. I mean, that don't
have
disappoint.
you played around with this?
It's got maps. Basically, you've got traction control, which most bikes have nowadays. Basically, the maps, the way they describe them are, it's got a rainy cloud for your soft map and sunshine for your quick map, and that's how it is. So, I use both maps. There's not much difference in them, but they do work.
You've obviously tinkered with this. You've tinkered with this. Which is nicer to work on?
I don't know. Tricky question. I think they're pretty good. There's a few flaws on that.
Peculiarities.
Yeah,
on this,
but there's some on that, like probably we'll put it in the video, adjusting the back chain, just where the cutout is. It's very awkward to get a spanner there for the lock nut to lock it off. It's either hitting the top or the bottom. Yeah, it was quite awkward, and I just thought, well, they could have just opened that out. You look at the Ducati; it's quite open. You get a spanner on there, no problem. Gearbox oil and engine oil separate. It's just little things like that, but we've explained that through in the video. So
we'll get the times in now, but one last question: if we was to sign you up to go and race next weekend, without knowing this time, which one are you taking?
The Ducati.
Ducati still. Yeah. Let's see if that's the right choice. Let's get this time in. So Ducati first. Your fastest time.
As long as it don't start with 2 minutes, I'm quite happy.
2. No,
oh no.
No. A 1:54.13.
Right.
That's quite a good time in these conditions. That's not too far off your last time.
Yeah. I mean, it is what we're talking 4 days after Christmas or something like that.
Yeah.
So nobody's been on a bike.
So the Duke, a 1:54.13 is the time to beat the Beta.
It'll be close.
A 1:57.14.
Oh, that does surprise me. I thought it'd be closer than that.
3 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much exactly. That surprises me, to be fair.
I thought it would be closer, but like I said, that the only reason you're gaining that because that's so
really
fast from A to B.
And I guess the rollers
and the
section.
Rollers, yeah. This would go through the rollers, and that wouldn't. Yeah, a bit more commitment. You'd have probably done it, but it's scared, mate. I weren't going to push myself to that. And,
that is surprising. The track was exactly the same. It's only you out there. You rode that first, and I thought you'd kind of got your flow a little bit more by the time you got on this.
Yeah, I at one point I did actually think that I might be faster. I thought it would be super close. Like I thought I'd be on the same second. So to be 3 seconds faster, I mean it just shows how good that bike is.
Like
do you know
say,
what I mean?
It might take a little bit more to tame, but if you can and you can attack on it. It's a formidable machine, isn't it?
Yeah, well, with that result, mate, I'd love to spend a bit of time on that suspension, just dialing it in, do you know what I mean?
Let's sign him up for that race then, shall we? Let's book it in for Hawkstone.
Not Hawkstone International.
Yeah, let's get him in. There'll be you, Jeffrey, Roman. It's definitely got to happen next year.
We've got
to race it.
Marshall if you want. I'll go around in the orange bib.
I'm also shocked how much I enjoyed this bike.
It's a very, very good bike. It is a very, very good bike.
I think it might be one of the most underrated brands in motocross.
Yeah, I
don't think a lot of people know a lot about them, and that includes us, really. I don't know much about their story. We don't even really know how to say the name properly, do we?
With it being Italian, I'm just suggesting it's Beta. Maybe. I mean, there could be
if
something
there's any
completely
Italians
different.
watching, please let us know how we should be saying it, because this is fake Italian, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Sean, as always, thank you for spinning the laps today. I'm glad it was you and not me around this rough and bumpy DMP today.
It weren't so much that, it's cold, and I don't really like the cold.
He's a diva.
Yeah.
Anyway, as always, guys, thanks for watching. My name's Max. This has been 999 Laser. As always, a big thank you to Ed at DMP, and once again, a big thank you to MR Van and Motorcycle Sales. Awesome guys. If you like the look of a Vita, go and check them out. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Cheers.